All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Glad you could join us this afternoon. We have a lot of people signed up. I see a lot are still logging in. We're looking forward to our presentation. We're going to talk about doing more with TradeLog. My name is Jason Derbyshire. I'm the Business Development Manager here with TradeLog Software. I'm going to be sharing this presentation with you today. Also, in the background, we have Melina from our support team. You can't hear her, but she's waving hi to everyone. She's going to help answer some questions as we go through the presentation today. Some of the things that we're going to talk about, some of you may be familiar with the features. There might be some features that are brand new to you as well. So we'll be able to show you some things to help you see how you can make the most out of TradeLog and be able to use that all year long to get your money's worth. Just a little bit of important information as we get started. A reminder from our friends in the legal department that we are not presenting tax, financial, or legal advice. So keep in mind the information that we present may not be suitable for everyone. So take it and use what you can. Just want to make sure we remind everyone about that. So just a little bit of introduction, what we're going to talk about today. Again, TradeLog, a lot of times people think about TradeLog software mainly for tax purposes, but TradeLog can do a lot more. And what we're going to do is help you see how to use TradeLog all year long, especially to help in analyzing your trading performance as well as your profitability. We're going to demonstrate some of the features today that can help you use TradeLog like a pro. Now this is a 30-minute session. That's not a whole lot of time, so we're going to go through things at a good pace, but what I encourage you to do, maybe take note of some of these things. You can come back and watch this presentation again later, but then explore your TradeLog software. Use it with your files, check out some of the features, and find out what works best for you. Now, I'm going to put up another quick question because it is May 1st now, so we're wondering, have you finished your 2012 taxes? I know a lot of people filed extensions this year. So we're just kind of curious where you stand with that, with the 1099 mess that we deal with. And we know it's extending the tax year for a lot of people. And it looks like about 60% have filed your taxes already. You're done. And about 38% of you or so, I'll share that with everyone. About 38% filed extensions, maybe still working on the taxes. And that's understandable. So if you're still working on taxes, of course, the things we're going to talk about today will still be able to benefit you as well, but we also hope to help you get your tax filing finished for the year. A couple things to keep in mind, though, when you do finish your tax filing each year, it's very important, don't forget to run the end tax year function. This is something that we repeatedly see as a problem with some users. They forget to run the end tax year function, and that causes problems down the road in the next year. It's a very vital function. Now, we're not going to talk about all the keys in using that function today, but you can go to our Quick Start Guide. It's step 6 in our Quick Start Guide, ending the tax year. That's an important process. One way to know if you ended the tax year or not, usually when you go to your My Documents folder and you go to your TradeLog folder, once you end the tax year, it will create a file for the following tax year. So in this case, 2012 tax year, my file was 2012 demonstration. When I ran in tax year, it created the 2013 demonstration file. So that's one quick way to check to see if you did end the tax year. If you don't have a data file for the next tax year, the problem it probably comes from not running the end tax year function. So that's very important, and we want to make sure remind you to do that. Another good thing to do is to make sure and save a PDF copy of your final tax reports. If you filed the 8949, save a PDF copy of that. If you might also want to save a PDF of the wash sale detail report, because that shows any wash sales that were disallowed and deferred to the next tax year. So take those key reports in TradeLog and save a copy of it. That way you have that in case if something happens. Because what we see every year, we have people that contact us and they say, my computer blew up, or I can't find my files, what do I need to do? Well, with those reports, if you don't have your tax file from last year, then at least we can help you set up a new tax file and make sure and account for everything that's carried over. So that's a good best practice as well. And as our little graphic, our little comment guy shows, the reality is computers do blow up, hard drives crash, so back up your files. And keep in mind that a proper backup means that you store that backup on a location other than your computer. Maybe it's a flash drive, or you burn it to a disk, or you have a network storage drive. Whatever it might be, keep a backup copy of that file. Because like I said, every year our support staff gets calls from people, gets emails from people that can't find their files, they've lost their files, and it's a lot of work to have to start over. So make sure and keep a backup, because we don't keep those here at TradeLog. Those are stored on your computer. Another key thing in using TradeLog successfully throughout the year is keeping up to date. We have regular software updates that keep the software current and working at its best. So you want to keep an eye too for any new features that roll out that you can use. A lot of times different performance features in TradeLog, we push those out after tax season. So actually I'll give you a heads up right now, version 12.1 is coming soon. We've added some cool new features to that. That's probably going to be released maybe this week. So keep an eye on those new features that you can use. The easiest way to keep your software up to date is to just run the program at least once a month. If you run TradeLog open up, what it's going to do is TradeLog's going to open, and it's going to search to see if there's any updates, and it'll prompt you. So if you're prompted whether to update the software, just click yes, and TradeLog will do its thing. It'll update itself, and then you'll make sure you're always running the most up-to-date version of the software. Next, after keeping your software up to date, it's important to regularly import your data. In fact, a best practice that we found from our 13 years of business is to import your data at least once a month. So if you at least once a month open TradeLog, run it, and then import all of the data for your brokerage accounts, that's going to make a big difference in the success you have using the software. Now, after you import your trade history, you can go ahead and make any needed adjustments, like expiring options. If you had any exercised options, you can adjust for those. If there were any corporate actions that you know that might have happened that you need to adjust for, it's a lot easier to do those when they've just happened recently, because you can find the information from your statements, you remember what happened. So go ahead and make those adjustments. In fact, what you can also do when you receive your statement from your broker, you can even verify your open positions at the end of each month just to make sure your data is accurate. Users who do that find that they always have excellent accuracy with TradeLog at the end of the tax year. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up TradeLog, and I have a demonstration file that I've opened up. Here I have two accounts, account A and account B. So I've actually already imported these since it's May 1st. I imported all the way through the end of April. So what's great now is I can actually go into each of these accounts, and I can click on the Open Trades view, and I can view the current positions that are open as of April 30th. So with my broker statement, I can verify that my broker is also reporting the same positions open at the end of the month. That's a good indication that my data is accurate. I can also expire any options by clicking the Expire Options button. That's going to allow me to show any option, or to look up any options that are past their expiration. In this case, I don't have any. Another cool feature about TradeLog with the Open Positions view is you can actually look up the current prices for your positions that are open as well. When I click the Get Current Prices button, first it's going to ask me, since I have options, it's going to ask if I want to update the Oprah symbols. That's your standardized option symbols. Usually you can just click yes. There's very seldom any case when you would click no for that. And then you'll notice TradeLog went out and it actually looked up the closing price for my positions as if I were to close these out today. And so now what I can do is I can run a report and actually see the profit and loss. I mean, I can look at it right here. I can look in the profit and loss column. I can also go up and run different reports on the same information. For example, I'll run a detailed report, and this will show me if I was to close out all of my positions today, I would actually have a total net loss of $62. So this is information you can use, kind of give you a feel for where your standing is right now. You can do that on an individual account. You can also click on all accounts, and you can view all the open trades for your combined accounts, and you can do the same thing, get current prices. So that's a great feature that you can use in TradeLog throughout the year to see where you stand on those positions. Now, while I have TradeLog open, let's talk a little bit about some of the reports that you can use throughout the year. Now, up under the Reports menu, the first report that we see available is the Wash Sale Detail Report. Now, this report especially is helpful at the end of the year. Around November, December, we usually have a webinar talking about wash sales at the end of the year. But I can run this at any time to see where I stand with wash sales. For example, right now, you'll notice that I have wash sale losses attached to an option contract here. And so if I close out that option position, I can capture those $87 in deferred losses. As long as that position is still held open, I'm disallowing that loss. And you notice that particular contract doesn't expire until January 14. So that's something I might want to think about, is whether or not it's worth closing that position earlier than that in order to capture that $87 loss. So the Wash Sale Detail Report can help you throughout the year. Also, if we go up under Reports, we have the Tax Reports. And I know we had a couple questions submitted in advance as you were registering about running tax reports throughout the year. Yes, you can run your tax report to see where you stand as of today. For example, you can run the Form 8949, or if you like, the Gain and Loss Report is actually my preferred report if I'm just doing analysis, because it provides a little more detail. Now, one thing to note, you'll get a warning since you haven't ended the tax year yet. The report's going to show with a draft watermark. That's just to keep you from accidentally filing this report somehow as a final tax report. This is just a draft, but I could go ahead and look at this and see where I stand year to date. I can see what wash sales are affecting me if I was to end the tax year right now. So that's where this report can be useful. And of course, there's the other tax reports as well that you can run. But I'm going to drop down to some of the trade analysis reports, because that's really our focus today. Now, it's important that you understand this first report, the realized P&L. This is a profit and loss report that does not account for wash sales. This is a straight P&L report to show you your performance in the real world, not the taxable world. So this is a report you can run for individual accounts, or you can run it for your combined account. And it's going to match up the trades, show you all the positions that have been closed, and it's going to show you the realized gain or loss on those positions. I'll exit out of that. The next two reports are the detail report and the summary report. Now let me explain a little bit about these reports and the difference with them. The detail report is going to provide a report of all the trades in detail. For example, I'm going to run this. I'm going to summarize it by trade number, and I'll include subtotals. I run that report, and it's actually going to show, you'll notice the individual trades, what I bought, what I sold. It's going to show W positions. These are wash sale losses that carried from the previous year. So this is a detailed history. In fact, this looks a lot like the actual trade history you're going to see in TradeLog here on the grid. The difference with that and the summary report, if I go to the summary report and run it for the same batch of data, the summary report actually matches up trades. So for example, you'll see this first line is 20 contracts of a Yahoo call, the date acquired, date sold, and then I have my net gain or loss from that. So this is just a little bit different format, way of looking at the data that's been matched up in the positions that are closed. I can go to the end of this and I'll see that there's positions that are still open, and those are being reported, and of course there's no gain or loss yet for those. So that's the difference between those two reports. Now with both of those reports, I exited too quickly, you'll see there's options which you can sum it by. So I can do a summary by ticker, which gives me a little bit different look of this, and I can also include subtotals for that. Now, the next report is one of my favorites. It's the performance report. This is a report that we've had in TradeLog for several years now, and it measures some key metrics about your trade history. Of course, it lists, you'll notice at the top, total sales, the total purchase, your total profit and loss. A lot of times when people ask, what is this difference on the right? That is the difference between your total sales and your total purchases. And this is a strictly analytical number, so it's not a gain or loss. The profit or loss is actually closed positions. In this case, I have short sales I know that are still open, so that's why I have such a higher amount of sales than I do purchases, and the difference is $50,000. So sometimes people get confused by that, but that's what that number is. A real eye-opener on this report for a lot of people is the total commissions, because that's showing what my broker's making off of my trading. So that's something that a lot of people look at. I also like the averages here, average profit and loss per share and the average profit and loss per trade. Just kind of gives a metric to help measure how you're trading, what you're doing. And then at the bottom, it splits out between winners and losers, and we look at some metrics down here, and we've got a couple of pie charts as well. This is a good report to be familiar with. Study over it. It might reveal some things to you about your trading and some things maybe you don't always pay attention to. The last section on our trade analysis reports are chart reports. And these are also very cool. We have a lot of different options available for chart reports, and we find a lot of users have never even opened this up. Let's just start with a basic chart report. You'll notice for all of the chart types, there's drop downs, and I can choose a specific chart I'd like. So I'm just going to keep it on a regular profit and loss, and we can do this by daily, weekly, or monthly. I'm going to do weekly, and I'll run this chart. And you'll notice the top part gives me a bar chart where I can see my profit and loss week broken down weekly. So I can see what weeks I did really good, what weeks I didn't do too good. And then at the bottom, I can see a cumulative profit and loss, giving me sort of an equity curve over time through the year. So this is an excellent report that I like to use. There's also some other options we can look at. For example, I mentioned that with commissions. And as much as I hate running this, if you run this chart, it shows the commissions I paid over time and the commissions, a cumulative commission chart there. Some other cool types of charts, though, to look at. Day of week. I can actually take a total profit or loss. I can look at a couple different metrics with this, but I'll do total profit or loss for day of week. And what this does is it shows what days of the week I'm most profitable on. In this case, I have a lot of options that are expiring, and those sometimes get reported on Saturday based on the expiration date. So that's why Friday and Saturday seems to be very profitable. This could be a good report to use to see what days maybe you should just take off and not be trading. There's a similar report as time of day. If your broker reports a timestamp, then you can actually set up intervals for periods of time. Like we have a default, which is kind of your morning, your midday, and your late afternoon. So you can change these intervals, and then you can run a report that's actually going to show your profitability based on the time of day. So that can really help you see how you're doing as a trader. Maybe if early mornings are not good, you're always losing money, then maybe you should stop trading early in the morning. And that's the type of things that these reports can show. There's also a report here for ticker compare. This is another really cool report, and we can drill down for stocks, options, futures, single stock futures, or currencies. So I'm just going to keep it on stocks and run this chart, and you'll notice it actually shows the different tickers that I've been trading, and I can tell from this what stocks I'm making money in and what stocks I've been losing on. So this can also be a great analysis tool to kind of give a feel for how I'm doing. Maybe I thought that I was doing really well in trading Apple, but it looks like I'm not. It's actually been losing me money. So maybe I should focus on some of the securities that I've been doing a lot better on. This is an awesome report as well. There's also a chart for strategies. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes. But again, it gives you another opportunity where you can drill down and look at various strategies that you're using. So these are some of the reports that are available on TradeLog. And just a kind of a quick review of what we just talked about, some of these features. We talked about getting current prices for open positions, the wash sale detail report, draft view of your gains and losses, your taxable gains and losses through the year. Of course, that realized P&L report, the detail and summary reports, and then those last two, which I think are the most powerful analysis tools, the performance report and your chart reports. So those are things that you want to check out. Maybe play with those with your TradeLog file, learn how to use those more. Another important aspect of the analysis tools in TradeLog, though, is the power of filters. There are a lot of options in TradeLog for filtering, whether it be the basic views, the date range, the grid filter, the custom filter, and then the find menu. By using reports, you're able to filter into specific data to better understand your trading. And then you can run reports on that filtered data and take your reporting to a whole new level. Let me go back to TradeLog here and show you a few examples. The basic views we can access right here from the top. You'll see there's a button for all trades, the blue button. The green button, of course, opens up our view of open trades, and then we can switch over to closed trades to view just the trades that have actually closed out. So those are three that you can kind of toggle between real quickly to look at your trades. Of course, there's a date range. You can look at an entire tax year. So in this case, I can look at 2013. I can go to 2012 since I have 2012 trades in this file that were carried over. Or if I want to run a specific date range, I can do that. I can maybe drill down just my April trades. So I'll just view my April trades. And you'll notice as you change the view, this blue profit and loss summary bar also changes. So it gives you a quick snapshot. So I see in the data that's being viewed, the 187 records here, I had a total loss of $17,000. You'll notice that changes when I change to all trades. So April was a bad month for me, but I can quickly change between those views. By clicking the Enable Filter button, you're able to go to you're enabling the grid filter, and this is a lot like if you use Microsoft Excel a lot, like I do. This is very similar to the filters that are available in Excel. You can click on the top of the column and you can actually select data that you want to filter and view. So I can view all of my open trades. Maybe I can do just my Apple trades that I opened, and I can view the 2 purchases that I made for Apple. So this gives you the ability to drill down your data as well. The easy way to exit and reset is to always go back and click on all trades, and that'll reset. The custom filter is an actual filter builder. So this is if you really want to be a power user, you can actually go in and build a filter, a custom filter based on variables, and you can press the buttons and it's going to let you add conditions and groups. This is something you might want to play with to really get familiar with. What's really cool about the filter builder though is you can save that filter. So click Save As, and it's going to pop up an option where you can go and you can save that, and then you can open that filter later by just clicking on the Open button, and that's going to allow you to restore that filter. So if you're always finding you're filtering a certain set of data that you like to look at, build a custom filter, and then you can just load that up and run that much more quickly. And then, of course, as I mentioned, there's the Find menu as well, which a lot of users aren't familiar with. But with the Find menu, you can quickly find certain types of securities, certain types of accounts. You can look at matched tax lots, exercised options. The very basic ones we like is the Find Ticker. With Find Ticker, I can just type in Apple, and I can look up all of my Apple trades. I can also add a wildcard on there with an asterisk, and that's going to look up all the trades for Apple security, including the options. So that's a great tool to quickly isolate and look at a certain trade set of data. Don't forget too, with the multiple account version of TradeLog, if you have more than one account, you can switch between accounts. So if you want to run a report based on a specific account, if you want to filter data in just that specific account, select that account tab, or go to all accounts, which is something a lot of people like, because if you have multiple trading accounts, well, now you can run a performance report based on your entire trade history by just clicking on all accounts. And as I mentioned, if you are in a filtered view, for example, I can go back up here and do find, let's just find stocks. Now I can run a report, I can run that performance report on just my stocks, and I can see how my stock trading is doing, and I can compare that with my options or my futures or whatever it might be. So that's what really makes the reports even more powerful, is when you use the filters. And next, let's talk about strategies. We touched on it a little bit, but TradeLog has the ability to let you assign strategies, which adds another level for analysis. You can customize the strategy setup in the global options and then just select and assign trades to a certain strategy, which you can then use when you run reports. I'll show you real quickly here back in TradeLog. If we go to the options menu and go to global options, that's where we can access our strategy setup. You'll notice the tab for that. Now we have about, I think it's 35 default strategies that are loaded in, but you can add your own strategies. I can put Jason's strategy on here and I can add that to my list, and then I can use that. Once I've saved that, now all I have to do is find the actual trades that I use that strategy for. And again, if you're importing regularly, that makes it a lot easier. Let's say that this particular Apple call, I want to assign that strategy. I can right click on those positions and I can go down here to assign strategy, and then I can just pick that strategy from my list. So I'm going to just give it the custom one that I put and save records. Now, to view the strategies in the grid, you'll want to go up to the View menu and you can turn on Display Strategies, and you'll notice it adds a column, and that's where the strategy name is put. Now I can use this, for example, if I go back to those chart reports and I go to my strategy report and I run that, you'll notice it's going to list all of my strategies and it's going to list my profit and loss because that's what I chose. Of course, I can also run filters. I can enable my grid filter and I can filter just to view a particular strategy. So again, this adds a whole nother level of trade analysis by using strategy tools. An added bonus to what we've been talking about, by using TradeLog at least once a month, by using it throughout the year, tax time may be a lot easier because your software is going to be up to date. You're going to remember more how to use the software. Your data is going to usually all be imported, and most of the adjustments are going to be completed. So that makes it even easier when tax time comes. You pretty much just have to get your 1099-B and do your final work with TradeLog then. Also, if you are using TradeLog throughout the year, if you need technical support, it's a lot easier and quicker to get tech support from us after April 15th or when it's not tax season. Now things will get busy again as we get closer to October 15th, the next deadline for those who filed extensions. But this is a great time of year when it's after tax season. If you have complex situations or if you've got problems with TradeLog, contact our support department. We've got more time that we can really help you out. So just a quick review, some things to take home at the end of this presentation. Again, the best practices are to run TradeLog at least once a month, import all of your trade history, and make any needed adjustments. If you do that much, you're going to make tax time a lot easier. But you can also do a lot more by running TradeLog throughout the year. So we encourage you to open up TradeLog and explore some of the things we talked about, the reports, the filters, the strategies. Find the tools that are most helpful to you. Some of those reports you might not really care about, but there might be certain reports that can really help you become a better trader. So that brings us to the end of our presentation and the end of our 30-minute period. It is 4:30, but we are going to take a few moments to answer some questions. When you do leave, I just want to mention there's going to be a pop-up for a survey. We encourage you to just fill out those simple questions. Let us know what you thought about our presentation. Plus, there's a box where if you have an idea for a feature that you would like to see in TradeLog, you could submit that idea. We'd love to hear feedback. We're always looking to improve the software. Of course, if you also have any questions that come up, you can go to our website, click on the support tab. I'm going to open our website right now. And by just clicking on the support tab, you can go to our support center where you can submit an online support request. I'll also mention you can go to the search box, and if you want to search, for example, performance report, you can search that, and right away you see the topic that comes up, performance report. This goes to our user guide and explains more about how to use the performance report. So use that search box, and that'll help find more information to questions you might have. All right, so I'm going to take a look real quick right now. I know Melina's been answering a lot of questions for people, and I'm going to look and see if there's any questions that we might be able to answer for everyone. Give me just 1 second here. Dan asked a question about strategies, if these can be month specific. You can, if you want to set up a strategy just to use for a specific month, you can do that, and then you can remove that strategy from the trade. You'll have to go in and actually remove the strategy afterwards, though. So that might be a little work, but if you want to do that, it can be done. That is possible. Can you set up combined accounts to use all year? Most definitely. In fact, we encourage you to do that now with TradeLog. This was a feature we introduced last fall, the new multi-account format. We encourage you to have just one TradeLog file and to keep all of your trading accounts in the same file. And there's really no limit. I can go in here and add another account. You can also keep your IRA accounts. If you have elected mark-to-market status and you have multiple types of accounts, as long as you have the version of software to support MTM, you can do that as well. So we do encourage you to keep all of your accounts in the one data file because it makes it easier. And then also what that allows you to do is, with all these things we've talked about, these reports, these analysis tools, you can run it on just one account, you can run it on all accounts. That's really going to give you a lot more power in how you use the software. Let's see. Looks like Melina's answered a lot of the questions today. I'll answer a question that RT had. I don't think we've answered that yet, just about importing. As far as all the import options, you can import from our supported brokers. But if you're interested in importing data from a broker that we don't support, what you can do is go to our support tab, and on the right we have the broker support matrix. Here we have the list of all the brokers we do support. If you want to import data from a broker that we don't support, we do have specialty imports at the bottom. So if you have an Excel file, you can import that. It does have to be formatted in the right way, but we give the instructions for how to format. So that might answer your question. If you have a specific question about trying to import data, or if you have a CSV file that you're trying to import and you want to know the best way to do it, you can always send that to our support department and we can take a look at it and kind of point you in the best direction that you can use. Okay. Chuck, you asked about looking up closing prices. I think, if I understand correct, you're probably referring to get current prices for positions. So if you want to look up the price for positions that you currently have open, what you do is click on the open button, as I'm showing right now, the open trades for your account. That's going to show the trades that are currently open. And then there's a button here for get current prices. And what that's going to do is it's going to go out. We use an online data feed that has, the current prices. One of the things, if you have options, it may ask if you want to update the opera symbols for all options, which would clear anything that's currently in there. Just click yes is usually the best for that. And you'll notice it goes out and it fills in those prices automatically. So the only time some positions, particularly I know like some futures, sometimes we're not able to look up the price on some futures contracts. So sometimes if TradeLog can't find the price, it'll pop up a box and prompt you to enter the price. So if you've got your trading platform open, if you're able to see what the current price is, you can enter it from there as well. We've been working to try to make as many of those available as possible, but sometimes TradeLog still can't find a price online for that. Okay, well, I think we've answered most of the questions. If we didn't get to your question, then we might shoot you an email if we need to follow up afterwards. Of course, as I mentioned, go to our website, TradeLogSoftware.com, click on the support tab, and you can submit an online question there. And of course, if you have a question about a specific question, about a file that you're using, we always encourage you, send your data file along with your support question, because our support team can do a whole lot more when they can actually open your file and take a look at it. So that's going to end our session today. We thank you all very much for joining us. Keep in touch with us about future events. As I mentioned, we're going to be releasing version 12.1, an update to TradeLog that's going to have some cool new features, and it's going to have a little bit more robust reporting as well. So that's going to be coming soon. So keep an eye if you're linked up with us either on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. That's great because you'll be able to keep up to date as we send out those notices. Thanks again for joining us, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you next time.